In a perilous move that reverberates across the global stage, the United States has embarked on a controversial path, supplying Ukraine with a weapon of unimaginable destruction. As tensions escalate and conflict looms, the deployment of deadly cluster bombs marks a turning point in the already volatile landscape. With lives hanging in the balance, the international community watches with bated breath as this harrowing chapter unfolds. Given its controversy, the question arises how deadly cluster bombs are and how this might impact the ongoing conflict. Join us as we delve into the controversial journey of U.S. supply cluster bombs to Ukraine. The United States is finally set to send a terrifying new weapon to Ukraine, namely cluster bombs. This policy has sparked criticism and controversy in various countries. These controversial weapons are banned by hundreds of countries due to their extreme danger to civilians. President Joe Biden initially had reservations about this decision, but eventually accepted the recommendation from the Department of Defense to provide the ammunition. He engaged in discussions with allies and lawmakers, noting that Ukraine was facing ammunition shortages and that cluster bombs were being considered as a temporary solution to counter Russian tanks. The decision has sparked varied reactions within Congress, with some Democratic members criticizing it while some Republicans expressing support. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, however, expressed gratitude to Biden for the timely and much-needed defense assistance package, believing it would bring Ukraine closer to victory. The issue of supplying cluster bombs underwent extensive deliberation among U.S. leaders before Biden made the final call. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan explained that the United States would send a modified version of the cluster bomb, aiming to minimize the number of unexploded ordnances. What is a cluster bomb and how deadly is it? Cluster bombs or cluster munitions, also referred to as submunitions, are tube-shaped weapons that carry multiple small bombs. These weapons are typically deployed through various methods, including aerial drops, missile launches, and firing from artillery, naval weapons, and rocket launchers. When deployed from the air as submunitions, they scatter a multitude of small bombs randomly over an expansive area, comparable in size to a football field. Significantly, cluster bombs are designed to detonate at a predetermined altitude, dependent on the intended target area. They are equipped with timed fuses that facilitate detonation closer to the ground. Upon detonation, these munitions disperse numerous fragments resembling bullets, with the aim of neutralizing enemy forces and incapacitating armored vehicles such as tanks. It is important to highlight that the United States discontinued the use of cluster munitions, specifically dual-purpose improved conventional munitions, or DPICM, in their entirety back in 2016. However, recent reports suggest that the U.S. plans to provide DPICM to Ukraine. According to an article on the U.S. Army's Irmer website, the DPICM intended for Ukraine will come in tube containers, each capable of holding 88 bomblets. These individual bombs possess a lethal range, and a single tube can cover a vast area of up to 322,917 square feet. These cluster bombs have a substantial impact as they possess remarkable effectiveness against armored vehicles. While conventional bombs often necessitate the deployment of 10 or more to immobilize a single armored vehicle, a single DPICM bomb can render it incapable of movement. Why are cluster bombs banned for use in warfare? Cluster bombs, due to the threat they pose to civilian populations, have been prohibited by more than 100 countries. The primary concern lies in their wide area coverage, which can result in the indiscriminate killing of civilians. These weapons are designed to release multiple small bomblets that have the potential to cause harm over a large expanse. Compounding the danger, unexploded bomblets pose a significant risk. Disturbingly, a considerable percentage of these bomblets fail to detonate immediately. Recent reports from the International Committee of the Red Cross indicate that up to 40% of cluster bombs deployed in conflicts do not explode upon impact. Consequently, these unexploded bomblets can remain active for an extended period and transform into long-lasting landmines, posing an ongoing hazard to civilian populations. Even years after deployment, these unexploded ordnances can continue to cause fatalities and injuries. Reports from Reuters reveal that 60% of cluster bomb casualties are civilians engaging in their daily activities, with children comprising 1/3 of all recorded casualties. The Cluster Munition Coalition, an advocacy group committed to the prohibition of these weapons, has brought attention to the persisting presence of numerous lethal cluster bombs in Laos and Vietnam, even decades after their initial deployment. The extensive use of cluster bombs can be traced back to their inception during World War II and their subsequent utilization in numerous interstate conflicts. Notably, the United States employed these weapons in Iraq from 2003 to 2006. The majority of countries worldwide have already enacted bans on the use of cluster bombs in various military operations. This consensus was forged through the Convention on Cluster Munitions, or CCM, an agreement that prohibits the stockpiling, production, and transfer of these weapons. To date, 123 countries have ratified the CCM. However, notable omissions include the United States, Ukraine, Russia, and 71 other countries, which have yet to become signatories to the convention. In specific, the Biden administration's decision to supply cluster bombs has drawn strong criticism from Sarah Yeager, Director of Human Rights Watch US. Yeager condemns it as highly detrimental to humanity and highlights the horrifying impact on civilian populations. Similarly, Daniel Balson, Advocacy Director for Amnesty International USA, opposes the decision, citing violations of international law and long-lasting consequences. Amnesty International USA also firmly opposes the use of cluster bombs. Balson emphasizes that the transfer and use of cluster bombs by any country in any circumstances are in contradiction with international law. Finally, how would the supply of cluster bombs affect the conflict? The supply of cluster munitions poses both potential benefits and risks in the ongoing war. Ukrainian forces, outnumbered by the Russian military, view these munitions as a means to overcome well-prepared defenses. However, the imprecise nature of cluster munitions introduces the risk of encountering unexploded ordnance from previous deployments. While Ukraine emphasizes its right to deploy these weapons on its soil, the provision of arms from allies, including the US, is seen as crucial for Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russia. The situation remains complex, with considerations of conventions and the usefulness of these munitions in resisting the Russian invasion. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.